Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Zach Celadonia.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast brought to you by MANSCAPED. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I'm joined here once again on a Monday morning to quarterback an ugly Steelers loss with my dude, Flash Zach Celadonia. Zach, man, I don't even know how to approach this. Like, how are you doing? I think we're all exhausted. I think we're all ready for our own bye week.
Yeah, very, very much ready for the bye week. My weekend wasn't bad. The Steelers suck, but I had a weekend full of friends, family, football. Those are 3 out of my 4 favorite Fs. So, you know, I had a good weekend as a whole. Like, Zach, the person, had a good weekend, but the Steelers didn't. And as a result, that is kind of killing my vibe and deflating my balloon a little bit.
I've had a little deflating of the balloon as well. My daughter, the soccer team I help coach, they're like under 10 girls. And man, we had bad officiating in one of our games. It's hard to say when it's only like 10-year-old girls, and I don't want to sound like that guy, but I've been around officiating for 25 years, and it's like when something happens right in front of you and you don't call it, but then you call it on the other thing, just be consistent. And wasn't that the case with the Steelers and Eagles as well? I have just like this vehement, like just constant nagging when I see Clete Blakeman's name on the screen, on the documents, whatever it is, the NFL communications, and they tell you he's going to be the referee. And I'm like, well, at least he can't really screw this one up too bad, right? And his crew, and just every single time, man. And I not that it made any huge difference in the game, but it's demoralizing for a Steelers team that trying to get something going on offense. There was a series with George Pickens, for example, where there were back-to-back balls. It was just like the one was an offensive pass interference that shouldn't have been. Bradbury on these dudes all day long, holding Deontay Johnson, holding his arm back, no flag. George Pickens gets that one to get the dude off of him. And then on the next one, he actually comes down with the ball. It's probably a catch. And you hear Tony Romo, who's like, I don't know, Jim. They might want to throw a flag on that. Like, oh, man.
Steelers only challenge whenever it's a play for about 4 yards to gain. They never challenge for a crucial first down or a big moment in the game. It's, I think we got 4 yards instead of 3, and then they'll challenge. They didn't challenge the Pickens catch, which was a catch, I agree. And it's so funny you jumped right to that play because as you were talking about, you know, the girls soccer team and officiating and calling stuff and not calling stuff, I wrote down, let the boys play.
Yeah.
Because when my friends were over yesterday, dude, when they threw that offensive pass interference on Pickens, I was like, we're down 21-14, man. I'm not saying like turn a blind eye and give us free calls, but that was ticky-tacky. There's no way that you thought, oh, it's blatant pass interference. He hardly extended his arm, albeit you could see it, but it was a ticky-tacky call. We're down 14 points. Let the boys play. That wasn't going to change the outcome of the game, but it would have been nice to have a little bit longer of a drive on offense and maybe, humor me here, maybe score 3 points.
Oh, man. And I got to see where exactly that happened in the game, too. I'm really out on, let me see. Yeah, I think they did end up, no, let me see. George Pickens offensive.
I know we were down 21-7.
Yeah, it was 21-7. You're right. I'm looking at it here. I was a 1st and 10. Deep left to Pickens would have been for 27 yards. Offensive pass interference. So then it goes 1st and 20, of course. Steve Sims had the end round for 10 yards there, and then they went back to Pickett. So I almost wanted to say, but those 2 plays were still like in the same kind of series there. And you go to 4th and 1, and it was Kenny Pickett scrambled. I guess they ruled a fumble here. I don't even remember that being fumbled, the ball. But then the Steelers had to burn a timeout. There was just all kind of like nonsense that ended up happening here. They burned that timeout where they could have threw the penalty or threw the red flag, and it would have been the same as the timeout just before that. This was just like a whole like messy situation because I'm thinking, was this the area? No, this wasn't the one. The other one that really sticks out to mind when you're really disappointed with the team, I'm not even going to get into like the Eagles and stuff, dude. Who else is beating the Eagles this year? You know, like no one else has been able to do it. Did you think that this Steelers team was going to be able to do it with the Eagles coming off of a bye? It was highly unlikely. At least the Steelers were able to answer and come back and make it 7-all. And that was a little bit of promise there. There's a lot of things that need to happen. Coaching, one thing. Offensive line penalties. I'm so sick of it. Like I said, I could handle a holding call here or there where someone's trying to protect their quarterback. That happens. That type of stuff's going to happen. You know, let somebody like unabated to the quarterback, as they say. But illegal man downfield, false start. I'm tired of it. I'm out on it. And I'm trying to figure out whose problem is this? Is this the elaborate play calling that takes forever to set up and outsmart yourself? Like, let's get Derek Watt involved early in the game. Not late in the game when we really do need to fool people. Let's fool them early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, Derek Watt career day, right? I think he had 2 catches.
I was feeling like it was going to be a Chase Claypool kind of career day as well. He had some moments here or there, but yeah, somebody on Twitter said if you had this on your bingo card, Derek Watt getting a touchdown pass from Chase Claypool, and I know everybody in their minds saw that jet sweep and were just like, oh man, but it was like it was intentional. It sucked them in. That was pretty cool. Sometimes you do got to get creative down in the red zone. I'm sorry, that's not enough for Matt Canada to keep his job. I keep perusing the interwebs this morning and waiting for.
It wasn't enough. And you know what's funny? I'll just cut in real quickly here because this isn't even my point. I have to give credit to my boys Ricky and Kevin that were over yesterday because they pointed it out to me. But the jet sweep touchdown pass, yeah, it was sick. But Claypool had to stop and turn around, and they ran it to the wrong side. Claypool's a righty, and they rolled him to the left. And Claypool had to stop and plant his feet and turn and dump it over the guy. Thankfully, Claypool's almost 6'5", and he basically just like was playing pool basketball and just dumped it over the top of the guy. But if they would have ran it to the left, Chase could have thrown on the run naturally. They ran it, or if they would have ran to the right, he could have thrown it naturally. They ran it to the left. He had to stop, turn, plant his feet, and throw. So they almost messed it up. Like that can't be not mentioned. You know, like it was a good play and it worked. And I was so excited that we scored a touchdown and tied the Eagles that I didn't even care until my friends brought it up to me that I was like, you know what? You're right. He did stop, plant, and spin and then throw. They made it way harder on Claypool and on the offense as a whole than they needed to. And the offensive line is such a fickle bitch this year, dude, because we went from thinking they're going to be the worst in football to, oh, you know, they aren't that bad. They're pretty serviceable. To, okay, they're serviceable, and then there's not bad. This line is just not bad. And then you get a game like yesterday where Javon Hargrave, a great player, but he had 3-4 sacks, man. We had no answer for him up the middle, which is supposed to be kind of the strength of the line with James Daniels in there and Mason Cole and Kevin Dotson being as hot and cold as he is. Aside from the line, though, and these are my boys, I think the receiver room is a little lost. And I'm not saying that Tomlin is losing the locker room. I think Tomlin is still firmly in control of the team. But I don't think, and it's weird to kind of zone in and zero in on one in particular character, but I think Frisman Jackson is in way over his head, dude. I don't think he has any clue what he's doing. The receivers aren't learning anything new. In fact, they're making routine mistakes. I've never seen, you know, Deontay Johnson and George Pickens in particular, I've never seen players blow up after every play so often and have no issue doing it. Like, they're not ashamed and they're not worried about how it's going to look on film. I've seen so much frustration from those two players in particular when either the ball doesn't go their way or the play is called to a different side or Kenny gets sacked. Aside from that, if Frisman Jackson was doing a better job, who knows? Maybe Deontay wouldn't be struggling as much as he is this year. Maybe Pickens wouldn't have extended his arm yesterday and gotten called for offensive pass interference. The development in the receiver room is just at a standstill. After the preseason and camp that George Pickens had, he should be on pace for a record-breaking season. His natural talent and his raw ability is why he looks as good as he has so far. There's nobody coaching him up. And same goes for Deontay, same goes for Claypool. I think the offensive line as a whole is an issue for sure. I don't want to dismiss that. But the receiver room, I think, is all types of out of whack right now. And I don't know how they fix it. I don't know if it's going to be a 1 year complete overhaul. They just get rid of Frisman Jackson. They get rid of Matt Canada and try to bring in, like I said, an overhaul, a brand new group of guys. But at this point, I wouldn't be opposed to it, man, because we're not getting any younger here. And I don't know how all of a sudden this group of talented young receivers, because they are, is going to turn the page.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Frisman Jackson thing. I was thinking the same. I was also thinking, was it Ike Hilliard that they had last year? And
Yeah.
It's been kind of, it's hard to say downhill with the amount of talent that they have
They're just at a standstill. It isn't even downhill. Yeah. It's just like there's no progress being made. What's he getting paid to do? I want to see some improvements, and there just aren't. And I think the visible frustration and the guys speaking out as often as they do, and I think it shows a total lack of respect for Jackson. That's why I say I think he's lost the room. I don't think they care what he thinks or says.
I think it's even more. I don't think it's a lack of respect towards Mike Tomlin. Some people would say, well, it goes all the way to the top. Well, who's in charge of the offense? It's Matt Canada. And I don't think anyone, I think the biggest problem is they don't believe anymore. They don't believe that any of this is going to work. Even with Kenny in there, it's not working. This is just, it's in some aspects too complicated and in some aspects too simple. I defended Todd Haley a lot because you could see where it was going to, this dam that they say is going to break through. This is all-time lows for everything as a Steelers offense. They are the worst in the league. This isn't a Kenny Pickett problem. We're going to come back to that, because I know people are going to want to chime in and say this and that. Maybe a wide receivers coach. You guys
went the whole first 20 minutes without even saying Kenny Pickett. Bunch of nut huggers.
Yeah. Whatever. Mitch isn't going to go out there and do any better either. And even though I'll still lay some of the blame at the feet of Mitch Trubisky with decision making and progressions and things like that, it's like I could still give him a pass in some aspects as well, because some of this just isn't working. And you had your whole team working with a different quarterback the whole summer. And I understand there was a reluctancy. Even myself, I said, I don't want to play a rookie quarterback right away. I'm the believer of sit the guy for a year, but he's still going to struggle the first season that he actually plays. You know what I mean? People still give Mason Rudolph, crap for 2019, having never taken an actual NFL regular season snap in year 2 when Ben gets hurt. And to be able to do what little he was able to do is quite amazing, considering who else he was doing it with. But there's very little rapport. Like Deontay Johnson had that rapport with Mitch Trubisky. He does not have it right now with Kenny Pickett. The timing is off with some of these guys. And some of Pickett's passes were a little off the mark, and I think he is getting a little jumpy in some of it. Bill Cowher said in a postgame something about confidence and wrecking his confidence, and I'm like, well, Bill, to a certain degree, that's true. But how do you boost his confidence? And you can't just get rid of the running backs coach, Eddie Faulkner. You can't just get rid of Frisman Jackson. You can't get rid of Alfonso, whatever his name is, the tight ends coach.
Robertson?
Roberts, yeah, I believe. Right now, I don't know. Pat Meyer, the offensive line coach. Oh, yeah, let's get rid of all those guys and keep the offensive coordinator. I think it's somewhere along the top of the line here, and I was expecting to see this news at any point, and we're not going to speculate on it until it actually might happen, but I just don't see what's going to change. I mean, it scored 10 and 13 points, and this is historically bad. I mean, Randy Fichtner was bad, but Randy Fichtner, you knew, it was at the tail end of Randy Fichtner. It was at the tail end of Bruce Arians when it was bad, and they forced those guys out the door. The Steelers were still productive when they got rid of Todd Haley. This was just a Ben Roethlisberger talking about retiring after a playoff game. And it's like, okay, well, let's get this guy out the door. We don't want to PO our franchise quarterback and then be really stuck. And Kenny's going to go through his struggles, right? But you can't have Kenny on pace to throw 600 passes in a season. That's just ridiculous. Now, let me go back to one thing right here. Najee Harris. Yeah, dancing with ghosts or what, man? Like 3
I'm
yards.
starting to become
straight
concerned,
ahead.
man. I know he's playing hurt, but I'm not dismissing that. I do think he still isn't 100% coming back from that foot problem he had during camp. But this is how you start bad habits. This is how you ruin your own career. If he's too hurt, if he's too timid, if he isn't feeling confident, man, sit him down for a week or two. Because yeah, that one still shot they grabbed from the game of Kenny dumping it in the flat, and I mean, I hate that play now, but to Canada's credit and Kenny's credit, should have been a first down if Najee just kept running in the direction he caught the ball.
He's
and he
just
just
like,
started dancing around.
yeah.
Olay.
Like,
It's not the
hey.
first time he's done it. Like, we've seen it a couple times at the line of scrimmage, but man, it's everything about this offense it's painful to watch. It's hard to watch. It sucks. I hate it. It's like, it reminds me almost, now follow me here. When I first started watching football in like 2004, 5, 6, I used to come into the room while my parents were watching the TV, and I would see the running back just run directly into the offensive line, get like 4 yards, and go to the next play. And I would be like, Dad, why is this fun to watch? Like, this sucks. Why doesn't the guy just like run to the outside? Why doesn't he like make bigger plays? And the thing is, what's funny looking back, at least Jerome Bettis, Deuce Staley, Veron Haynes, whatever, at least they were getting 3-4 yards at a time.
Yeah.
Now it's like Najee does it, and it's either 1 yard or it's no yards. How many times do we see Najee run directly into the line, and it's either 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 9? I can't take it anymore. It's making me physically ill to try and sit there and watch the offense, especially when you got the red zone on the other channel, and it's like every other team, boom, boom, bang, bang, bang. It's easy for them. It's so hard for us here. What I would give for the Steelers' biggest issue to be Todd Haley getting thrown out at Tequila Cowboy. I would take that in a second right now over the Matt Canada snarky interviews. And that's another thing, man. Like, there's just bad vibes all over this team. And the interviews with the media isn't helping, because Canada's acting like a dick, making jokes. Oh, I know you guys are all so fond of me here. Ha ha. Oh, I think our offense is still going to be really good. When? When is the offense going to be really good? Are you talking about this Steelers offense? You can't be. And in the quotes from Kenny, too, he's getting more and more frustrated. I don't think at his teammates, I think he has to dance around the fact that he thinks there's just a lack of accountability, which he said, and leadership and direction on this team. He has to kind of phrase it like, oh, I have to do better. We all have to do better as players. But I can read between the lines, and there is so much frustration directed at this coaching staff. Canada, like you mentioned, in particular, I believe. And it's only getting worse. We're coming to a head here. I think what you and I keep talking about here and going back and forth is like, oh, I don't know what to do here, or like, I don't know how it gets here. It's a long chutes and ladder game board leading us all the way to blow it up. Like, I don't at this point, I don't see how it gets any better under the tutelage of Matt Canada. I don't want them to ruin Kenny Pickett, but if they can nail the next offensive coordinator in the offseason, get somebody good, it shouldn't confuse him terribly. It shouldn't totally derail the little success he has had this year. And I'll just say this. Kenny hasn't looked good the past 2 weeks, okay? There's been flashes of good. The team is bad. The Steelers as a whole are bad. Kenny's played bad 2-ish games, and he's had a lot of flashes of good. All right? And you, the fan, have to decide if that's enough for you or not. Because personally, I won't speak for you, but that is enough for me to think, okay, we're not going to Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray this thing and just pick, the best quarterback if we're picking top 5, top 6, or whatever. I do not think Kenny Ware is anywhere near that bad to engineer that strategy. Give him the rest of this year, give him next year, and then we can talk. If he was looking that bad, I would be right there with the people that are like, oh, I'm out on Kenny, dude. I've seen enough. I don't think it's possible to have seen enough, especially because we've all seen bad quarterback play. We've seen busts. We've seen guys who are in over their heads. Kenny doesn't look like that. He's in a very bad situation right now, and he's doing his best. And I hate to sound like a nut hugger, but I don't think that the answer is to start from scratch at quarterback. I think they have enough reason to believe they may have their guy, but they need to fix so much more on the team as a whole. Coordinator, line, scheme, defense. So my point is everything is wrong with the team. The focusing in and zeroing in on Kenny, I don't think that's the problem that the Steelers are going to try to fix in the offseason.
Oh no, and I'm highly pissed at anybody that's out there like saying, "Oh, see, you wanted Kenny, the Kenny chance, blah blah blah. See what's happening. Kenny wasn't the guy. Kenny isn't ready. Kenny this, Kenny that." I'm like, do you think you would have done any better with who else would have done better? Do you think Ben Roethlisberger keeps them in the game yesterday either? No, he's going to struggle with all the same problems. We saw it last year. Maybe he gets a little more extra garbage time points. Hip hop hooray, you know what I mean? So you got stuff like this from this jackass Mark Madden. Pickett isn't ready. Tomlin mangled the QB situation. I hate coming right out and saying what it is, but this is nothing but you got all these guys that are over on the Fan, he's on the X or whatever, and every single thing that they do is just clickbait garbage to get them likes and shares and ratings and views.
Quarterback clickbait.
Yeah.
Clickbait.
It's ridiculous. It's like, let's prop this guy up. Can you not see? This is part of the Colin Cowherd, who is like the worst, like one of the biggest Steelers haters, even had that heart-to-heart last week and said, this is part of the process. And we've talked about it how many times. We're right here where we thought we were going to be at the bye week. Couple of wins, new quarterback, back half of the schedule with a bunch of teams that aren't playing good football. I know the Atlanta Falcons won. Okay, as against the Panthers, those two are about middling as bad as the Steelers are right now. And you got both of them on deck. You got the Colts on deck. You've got the Saints have decent defense, but they're playing with Andy Dalton right now. And you're going to get TJ Watt back. That's a huge thing. It's not like this team doesn't have TJ Watt. They just don't have a healthy TJ Watt. They don't have they've missed players over it's the same thing as like last season. It drives me crazy because it's like, how could you ignore that Stephon Tuitt isn't there? Like yesterday, it wasn't Larry Ogunjobi. And then another game, it's not, you don't have Minkah Fitzpatrick and you haven't had TJ Watt. You've had like different pieces in and out of this lineup defensively, but you can't let it all on the defense. But the defense can help give the offense some short fields, and they haven't been able to do that. And now you're relying on Kenny to throw the ball 600 times, which is just absolutely ridiculous. To put it into a perspective with somebody like a Josh Rosen and start looking ahead at the draft and thinking, oh, well, they're going to tank and have the first overall pick, and what do you do there? Who's to say that the next guy that comes out of the draft is going to be any better? They're all crapshoots.
Exactly. I think people need to realize and understand and open their eyes and see that it's not going to reflect on the stat sheet. It's not going to reflect in the win column immediately. But you can see that Kenny has talent. And this game isn't easy. Quarterback isn't easy. It's the hardest position in pro sports. And Kenny has shown enough that you should feel encouraged and be like, okay, this guy might have it, dude. It's too quick to dismiss the steps he's made and the it factor that he does show just because the Steelers as a whole are so bad. He can't elevate this team by himself. It's just not realistic to think that way. That's how bad this team is. So much so, I mean, dude, Minkah stunk yesterday. And that's because he's been doing this by himself all season. Like, he was on pace on the early part of the year for defensive MVP. I genuinely believe that. And because Cam's been playing hurt for like 4 weeks. Cam Hayward, he's got a hurt shoulder and a hurt leg. That's 2 out of his 4 extremities that he's playing hurt with. And you got TJ who's been out. Like Devin Bush, is coming around. Miles Jack tries his hardest. Ogunjobi out now again. Minkah is essentially by himself. Edmonds is out every other week. So he was bad yesterday. But a part of me, I shed a tear from Minkah because I know he wants it. I know he's trying, but it's like him and Kenny are like mirror images right now. They're trying everything they can, but because the units around them are so bad, they can only do so much.
Yeah, you caught me grabbing a beverage here. I got the coffee.
Okay, no, it was bad yesterday because I just saw Jalen Hurts is up for FedEx Air Player of the Year.
Oh, of course he is. Of course he is. But talking about, we like coffee. We're coffee guys, you know. You don't do the powdered creamer, right?
No, dude, I
Oh,
hate that shit.
it's like
When I used to work
pretty on your teeth and can't do it.
it doesn't
Like
even
that, the
taste good.
liquid
It's not
stuff. No.
sweet. I used to work a minimum wage job at my mom's office back when I was a young shithead and I couldn't get anywhere else to hire me.
Wait,
And
wait a minute. When you were?
No, I'm an old shithead now. I got bad knees.
I gotta get that hip replacement soon.
Oh, dude, I had surgery in 5th grade, but that's for another time.
All right.
So yeah, my time's ticking. I might get robot legs by the time I'm in my 50s. But my mom's office had the cream powder, and I started drinking black coffee when I was working there because of that. And I don't like black coffee, but yeah, the powder creamer, that's terrible. That's what you got to refer to and try to get for yourself if there's a zombie apocalypse. Get some powder creamer. Until that time, I'll stick with the liquid.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way on that. I forgot where we were going during some
we
of
were
this.
talking
There's a
about
lot.
Kenny and Minka and the
Well,
defense.
of course, Minka instead of playing to the ball, was wanting the ball to come to him. You got to give all the credit in the world to AJ Brown. People are acting like AJ Brown isn't a dude. You're acting like the secondary for the Eagles aren't a bunch of dudes. The Eagles defense, that defensive line and the rotation they have aren't a bunch of dudes. We talked about that even going before this game. I saw Arden Key make a play in the London game, and I was like, I saw Boye Mafe make a play yesterday too. These were the guys in the preseason that were bullying and making the Steelers offensive line look dumb, and it's like, oh man, they have a really bad line. No, you're going against actual professional, maybe world-class players. Let's give them some credit where credit's due. But if Jalen Hurts even has an inkling of pressure on him, you see what ends up happening. They got out of a few tight spots. Malik Reed showed up in one or two of those instances. I think Devin Bush is coming around, and all these things are going to help. People are like, oh man, Witherspoon, he's just a bum. And it's like, well, okay, guy's coming off a hamstring injury. It's the best you have available. Levi Wallace is back out now. I didn't see like Cam Sutton really abused or anything out there, and Witherspoon hadn't played for like a month. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you expect? What do you expect? There's growing pains there too. So
Brown's a top 10 receiver. People might not realize it because he's still kind of a newer name and he just switched teams. But if you're going to sit there and list the top 10 receivers in the NFL, AJ Brown's in there. I mean, there are some people who probably put him even higher. I love AJ Brown. I wanted him real bad coming out of Ole Miss, and that was Deontay Johnson's draft year, I believe.
Yeah, he tweeted at the Steelers too. Somebody brought that up and shared that. AJ Brown's numbers, I mean, it's not like he just did this is the only game he's done this year. He had 155, 10 receptions against the Detroit Lions. He's had a couple of touchdown games otherwise.
Yeah, a first-round pick for him, right?
Yeah, I believe so. So, yeah. But, I mean, going back to the quarterback thing, I'm tired of already looking ahead to the draft and people thinking draft already. Like I said, got the bye week here. Hopefully they could do something with this offense and do something about the offensive penalties, particularly offensive line. Not only do you have terrible field position to start with because you're not forcing the pressure you'd like from the defense, you have a punter who can't kick the ball for shit. Like, I'm tired of Presley Harvin. I'm tired of Kevin Dotson. And, like, Dan Moore's on my short list, too, and he only gets, like, a little bit of a pass just because Dotson's next to him. Yeah. It's you have Najee going 4 carries for 0 yards at some point, like, up through the first half. That's not the only team with these woes. Daniel Jones had 17 yards passing in the first half yesterday, and somehow the Giants are, 5-win, 6-win team. You got 3 teams, I think, with 5 or 6 wins. Let me pull that up. In the what was the NFC least? It's like, isn't this like so bizarre how this works? You got Buffalo with 6 wins in the AFC East, the Jets in Miami with 5, in New England 4-4. None of those teams, they're all 500 or above in one division. Okay, you excuse me. 7-0 Philadelphia, 6-2 both the Giants and the Cowboys, 4-4 Washington Commanders. The NFL is full of parity. Who would have thought? Look at the guys we wanted this past offseason, right? My favorite guy, who now I'm embarrassed to say this, that's outside of the Steelers, my favorite non-Steeler that was currently playing was Russell Wilson. He looks like hot garbage. You, my friend, wanted Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is just it's sticking up the joint, man. And it's just funny because
ourselves, Joe, not helping ourselves. I was trying to not mention either guy for the duration of the season. Now everyone's going to remember.
But were they going to do anything different with this offense?
They look terrible.
Yeah, they look terrible in their own situation. Nathaniel Hackett out out of there and over to Denver is supposed to be like, oh, you do the thing, you get the veteran quarterback and pay him a lot of money, and you get the new hotshot coach that, with Matt LaFleur, who's still with Aaron Rodgers there in Green Bay, and you've been to 3 NFC title games in a row, and man, there's nobody that's happy about a lot of these things. And like I said, Atlanta, okay, they're leading their division 4-4. Tampa's 3-5, New Orleans is 3-5, and Carolina is 2-6. The Steelers have some winnable games on this schedule. If you have an all-world player like TJ Watt coming back, and you could do something to change this offense is full of talent. And like you said, what was the word you used? Serviceable?
Yeah.
Above average. I still think the offensive line can get it done, but there was absolutely no dedication maybe to get the run game going. You do that stupid run on first down. I like the RPO stuff that they were doing with the draw plays. Like, that opened some things up, and I just needed a shot downfield. And there was a very disheartening play where Kenny Pickett looks for Pat Freiermuth, and what was it? Was it a linebacker or what? Maybe like a sub-package DB that did like an Air Jordan pose and was able to tip it, and then it gets it. Anytime ball gets tipped, bad things happen. And it was heartbreaking for me, because I'm like, you're going to look at this guy's stat sheet. Some moron somewhere at the end of the season is going to be like, he threw 16 interceptions. What kind of bum quarterback throws 16 interceptions? Ben Roethlisberger, multiple times. Like, I understand he threw more touchdowns at some point, but Ben had a lot more of a better support system. You mentioned like Jerome Bettis and being able to hand off the ball and do those sorts of things. And they had this world-class defense. If you can get this highest paid defense back in the saddle and healthy, you can't tell me. And this is going to go back around to the first round tanking for first round pick, like CJ Stroud. Okay, Justin Fields starting to light up some fantasy boards, but the Bears are just overall running the ball. They don't trust that dude to throw the ball at all. He's another in a long line of Ohio State quarterbacks that might bust out entirely, right? So as much as I'm a Buckeye guy, I understand that. There have just been some really bad the guys just don't translate to the pros. They don't translate to the NFL from there. And you look at some of the other guys, the guy from Alabama.
I like Fields' potential still, but I think you have a good point if latching on to the Bears as a whole are so bad, and they've been so bad, that even though Fields, in my opinion, is finally showing flashes and could be the guy, their team's so bad. Look at like how he still struggles and how it took this long to get to this point where people are maybe thinking Fields has it now. It's because Kenny's in the same situation, man. The team as a whole is so bad. So if you decided to just cut bait and go for CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, it's going to be ugly the first year, maybe the first 2 years. So this fan base isn't built for that kind of patience. Kenny has shown enough to not want to jump ship on him yet. And that interception, he's just trying to make a play. Just trying to make a play at the end of the game. It's not the same exact thing as throwing a ball deep before halftime to try and make a play, but it was essentially the same thing. We were down, 35-10 at that point? I'm not going to critique him for getting picked, throwing a ball towards the end zone. In fact, there was a really juicy post-game interview with Kenny, and a reporter, I don't know who it was, I couldn't recognize his voice, but he asked, Kenny, with the interception ratio you have and it getting higher, do you think, do you want to keep taking, do you regret that shot that you took and got another interception? Is that something you're going to try to do less of? And Kenny was like, do I regret trying to score points? No, I'm going to keep doing that for this team. Like, you could tell he was like annoyed at the question.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Because the guy's like, are you worried about that number getting higher, your interception number? And he's like, no, dude, I'm trying to score points. Like, what do you want me to do? Not throw the ball anymore because I don't want my stat sheet to not look good? And again, it's going to sound like I'm making an excuse for Kenny, but that high interception number, it doesn't take but 10 minutes of reviewing the tape to know that they're not all on him.
Yeah, I'm with you. And just to conclude my point, you said like Josh Rosen. Like Josh Rosen had I think I'm looking at it right here, 3 games where he actually completed more than 60% of his passes his rookie year. He had played 14 games. He only had 4 games with more than 200 passing yards. He had 6 games without a touchdown. He only had 2 games with more than 1 touchdown pass in them. He had thrown an interception in all but 5 of those 14 games.
He got the whole offseason as the Cardinals' #1 guy to learn the playbook and stuff. He was the starter as soon as they picked him. There was no competition for Rosen.
And he took 45 sacks in 14 games too. That's just something where, again, this is an Eagles defensive line. They're 7-0. Like, I didn't expect anything different.
They kept it close for a little bit, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I had people over my house yesterday, and I kept saying, I was like, I just want us as a whole to be able to enjoy the game. Just give me as much as you can, Steelers. And there were at least 2 times that I said, hey, man, Steelers score a touchdown, they're right back in this thing. And I said it a 3rd time, too, but the 3rd time was a joke.
Tony Romo's a little too kind. I like what he said. At some point, he said something like, I'm sure people are getting annoyed with hearing me, or they probably are already. And I'm just like, yeah, dude, you hit the nail on the head. Josh Allen, the other Josh in that draft too, only 2 games over 60% completed and 12 games back in the 2018 season. He was in the same category, like 204, 206, 217, 224, 231, 245. Those were his best games. He had, games with like TD interception ratio, like
the Josh Allen thing is like, he's
0,
extreme
0.
because he's a better athlete than I think Kenny's a superb athlete. I love that part of his game. It's one of my favorite things about Kenny's game is his athletic ability. But Josh Allen is kind of an extreme case because he was such a freak athlete, but it's there. The similarities are there. He's not Josh Allen. Okay, I'm not saying that.
No, not at all. It's the struggle. It's the
first struggle.
Year.
It's the glimpses of good that you can see that it's like, okay, if we can get this right, this is worth fighting for. This is worth developing. The Bills and their fans, for the most part, were smart enough to see that with Josh Allen. And I'm asking the Steeler fans to try and do the same, man. Like, it's tough to see the team struggle so much. It's tough to see us lose. It's tough to look at the stats. But Kenny, there's a lot worse quarterback play we've seen on the Steelers than what Kenny Pickett is showing. And it's his first year. He's our 1st-round pick.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. He's got all the signs that are there. The people that are thinking, oh, you're going to ruin him and this, that, and the other thing is just a little ridiculous. We do have to pause for 1 second, though, and change gears and talk about our sponsor, MANSCAPED. And if you got the bush, go on over, head over to manscaped.com, use the promo code SteelCity, and get 20% off and free shipping with that promo code. And if you act now, you could go on over to the website. They got all kind of good stuff. But you get the free, with the one Performance Package 4.0, you could get the free boxers and the toiletry bag. And these are both really nice items. I had actually forgotten that the bag had come with this package at first because I was so excited about, not the package you're looking at, but but everything else that was there, as far as like all of the peak hygiene plan. There it is right there. He's got the weed whacker. Hold on a second. I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. The weed whacker, the nose hair trimmer, the lawn mower, which limits any of the, it's a 4th generation trimmer, which is featuring cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. And it has the advanced skin safe technology. I actually used it today. Waterproof. It has a light on it. That's like the most awesome thing. I don't know. Is it 4000K LED? That's a pretty bright light on that thing. It's like brighter than what I think I have on the ceiling fan in here. So maybe 5,000 the daylight lights in the kitchen. You know what I mean? But I really do enjoy. I wore the boxers again. I have to talk about them. I know they're just something that comes included with there, but I'm about to pick up some more, man. And if you want some, 20% off and free shipping. Steel City is the promo code at manscaped.com. I wore them in Miami. That's the test, man. It's humid. My stuff down there is just not used to the humidity. It's not used to the swamps of Miami, and it helped keep me from being swampy. So, but you also
cool collected.
Yeah, calm, cool, and collected. But the Performance 4.0 package, by the way, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and of course the travel bag aforementioned to hold all of your goodies, which hold your goodies and work for your goodies. So Weed Whacker's also waterproof. The one that you were showing, it provides proprietary skid-safe technology, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate nose holes. I could go on and on. Like, I could talk about this stuff probably through the end of the year here on the show, but do yourself
me
a favor.
too, dude. I need it. I'm short, hairy, Italian. I am disgusting when I wake up in the morning, dude. It takes me longer than the average person to get ready because there's a lot of maintenance that goes on here. Trust me, it's not natural. So I'm big MANSCAPED fan right now.
And it sounds like just shilling for the sake of shilling, but this is one of the few times where somebody's been on the phone with me or something. You were talking about, you've mentioned the people you had over yesterday and just kind of showing them some of the stuff. I did the same exact thing. It's like, wow, just traveling by word of mouth. I've been very impressed with this stuff. So make sure you check out MANSCAPED. They're the best in men's below the waist grooming, and their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. What was the other tagline they had? I know you remembered it. It was
your balls will thank you.
Your balls will thank you. Yes. So join the 6 million men worldwide and the 12 million balls worldwide.
That's good math.
Yeah. Well, it might be like 11 million, like 900,000 and whatever with a few guys out there, but
it's a couple bicycle accidents.
Couple Jason Pierre-Pauls going on, just not with their hands. Got to be careful on the 4th of July, man. That's such an inappropriate joke. I think I'll leave it out there for everyone. So, where did the Steelers go from here? Well, I think we were already kind of alluding to it. Nobody likes to lose like this. This is pretty demoralizing, but this will be in the rear view. They get an extra week now to kind of lick their wounds. They haven't won in Philly in forever. It's an unbeaten team. It's a team off of a bye. The expectations would have been through the roof. You're missing a couple of key players, including Chris Boswell. Nick Skiba, good job, though, for what he did.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good job on that guy's part.
Yeah, happy for the most part. There were people that were upset, didn't understand Gunnar Olszewski picking up the ball and running with it, including people in Philly that were booing. But
wait, can you explain it to me? Because I'm one of those people.
Yeah. It's like once it's touched by the defense, the offense can try to advance the ball with no penalty. Okay, so once it's been touched, where they try to like down it, right? Then it's not the same as like a kickoff where you can get like an onside kick, for example. So
it was on the one regardless. Like it was going to be on the one even if he didn't touch it.
Well, if he grabs it and now he advances it, he could advance it without penalty. And if they score, they score. The onus there is on the kicking team or the defensive part of that special teams play. So I'd have to pull up the full exact rule, but I've seen this happen countless times. And it's like, you have to be smart special teams guy, and Gunnar was there. He realized it's just that if he would have caught one or two more of the Eagles players sleeping, that could have been something that it could have got the ball out to the 50 or maybe even took it to the house.
Well, my question is,
but he can't be like tackled backwards and that become a safety.
That's what I'm asking. Was it at minimum case scenario? Was it going to be on the one regardless?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Even if he touched it at like the 20, or let's say it gets touched by the Eagles on the 20.
Yeah.
And it bounces around and it goes over to like the 19 or whatever, and then Gunnar picks it up and he starts running and he's backwards and gets tackled at like the 14, gets gang tackled. Gonna come back out to the 20.
So it's just like a no risk, all reward.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a little different than actually muffing a punt. If you muff the punt.
I didn't really blow up myself, but my whole like party, everyone was like, "What the hell is he doing?" And I was with that, but I'm like, there has to be some kind of like explanation here. My reasoning myself that I came up with was kind of along those lines. I thought that the Eagle player touched it first, which he did. So I thought that it was dead. And I was like, I couldn't explain why Gunnar touched it, but I wasn't as worried about it screwing the Steelers because I was like, the play's dead anyway. The Eagle touched it first. So I was like on the path to figuring out the right answer, but I didn't know that it was a no risk, all reward clause. Once the punting team touches the ball, that Gunnar's allowed to do that and just like go for it all. So it cleared a lot up for me because it was very confusing to see why he grabbed it. And and then proceeded to like talk shit with the Eagles players. I was like, what are we doing here?
I was trying to find the full rule at some point, and I'm sure I will. The NFL has it in their operations. It's the same thing as like the muffed punt. You
can't advance it.
You can't advance the muffed. So it's kind of like in the same kind of aspect of it. It's like, I don't want to say it's too obscure because, like, again, it was something like where I wasn't upset or mad at all. I knew exactly what he was doing. It's called smart football, and I want to say I saw like the Patriots or the Ravens or somebody that has usually solid special teams coaching there. How about the fake punt?
Oh,
like
yeah, dude,
Marcus Allen.
I was paying attention.
Guys, I know. I was checked out. I'm like, fourth down, time to take a piss break.
That's Derek Watt too.
What's that? No, it was Marcus Allen.
I was gonna say, you talk about career day. I thought it was Derek Watt. Good for Marcus Allen though, actually doing something for once.
Yeah, actually being in the game. So, which isn't usually. So, I'm trying to just think here. We're talking about like not jumping the gun too far ahead to the draft because I don't think that the Steelers they could be a top 10 draft team, but this isn't over. It's 2-6.
TJ Watt is that valuable. It's funny how a lot of people get mad when you say that and like one guy shouldn't matter this much. It's like, well, do you know what MVP stands for, man? And I agree. If the Steelers were a better team, we'd be faring better without TJ Watt, but we're not. So it's perfectly fine to admit that he matters that much. He's that good. So the people want anything to look forward to TJ Watt coming back because we are a different team with him.
Yeah. And just to put this in perspective, I know there's been no reason to fully believe in this team at this point, but this could turn around real quick and give you some real positive vibes. They've been playing a lot of close games aside from the Eagles and the Bills, winnable games, even with the other ones. They start to turn some of this around against like mostly inferior opponents. Like, again, we're talking about like the quarterback gamble. I think taking the gamble at not having to give up anything other than your first round pick on Kenny Pickett was not only smart, but might be the move of the future, might be the move of the century, and everyone's going to be kicking themselves, much like for many years where Green Bay snagged Aaron Rodgers and everyone passed on him. I'm not going to put Kenny in that category just yet. I don't think we know Kenny is until like year 2 or year 3 because Browns went and got Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold went to the Jets. We saw a lot of players flame out like that. Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. And that comes to mind because of the Saints coming up.
My boy Malik Willis got his first start yesterday. 55 pass yards, man. Struggled. You know what? He had Derrick Henry running for like 200 behind him. That helps a rookie quarterback. And if you think I'm going to say Malik Willis isn't going to be good because of his first start, you got another thing coming. So I'm not out on Malik Willis yet for the Titans, but I have enough foresight to know that he's a rookie, an extremely raw rookie, Malik Willis. So I still think he can be good. These are the trials and tribulations of a rookie quarterback. They're not always going to come out looking like Pat Mahomes. They're going to struggle more often than not.
Yeah, and I think Mahomes is a special case.
Oh, yeah, you have to sit for a year.
Yeah, he sat for a year. Andy Reid. I think if he plays his first year, he struggles a lot more, and they kind of let him just go hog wild and do whatever he wanted to do. But,
look at Tua, dude. People thought Tua confirmed sucked before this year. I was
Jalen Hurts, too.
100% there myself. What's up?
Jalen Hurts, too.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jalen Hurts. They were the whole draft season. They were like, should the Dolphins, should the Eagles go somewhere else in case so and so doesn't work out? You got these two competing for like league MVP basically now.
Yeah, I'm with you. New Orleans Saints, I believe, play the Baltimore Ravens this weekend, and they're going to come out of that game and have to go to Pittsburgh and play the Steelers off of a bye.
Oh, that's good.
They're going to be licking their wounds. You know what I mean? And regardless if it's Jameis Winston or Andy Dalton gets rattled so easy.
Especially against the Steelers. He's got like a career terrible record versus us. And Winston and Andy Dalton, they share what I love in Steeler opponents at quarterback, and that is their immobility. The Steelers do best against quarterbacks who cannot move because they just prey on them
doesn't
rack the sacks up,
Although they do well against ones that do move too with Lamar.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but he's the most extreme case, and we do well against him. So.
Yeah, they've got to figure it out, and Brian Flores has too, and they're on deck twice coming up. So we're talking about division games. The Baltimore Ravens, they're currently sitting at top at 5-3. And the Cincinnati Bengals, the Steelers own a victory over already, 4-3. Cleveland's at 2-5, and of course Cincinnati and Cleveland playing tonight. So we'll see what happens there.
Are they tied?
Yeah, the Monday night game. So
No, Bengals and Browns, they have the same record.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
The Bengals and Browns, do they have the same record?
No. The Bengals are at 4-3, and the Browns are at 2-5.
All right, go Brownies.
I mean, the Browns ate their lunch last year really bad in their own building too.
Yeah.
Even for a Bengals team that ended up making the Super Bowl. So you look at the back half of this. Okay, the Saints. You get the Bengals on a Sunday night game. You get 2 home games in a row. So if you build on a bye week and let's say a victory against the Saints, you have a team you've already beat in their building presumably without Jamar Chase, their biggest weapon, and don't know what else is going to come out of that. That's going to be a huge one. That's an AFC North game. That's an AFC game. You start climbing back in this. Then you go to
Jamar Chase is the only reason why they that the Bengals almost beat us week 1. Jamar Chase started to take over the game. If they don't have him, I like the Steelers' chances to sweep the Bengals this year. Which would be sweet. You know, all the things we're going through as Steeler fans. If we can sweep the Bengals, that'd be a nice little silver lining.
Indianapolis Colts in Indy, Monday Night Football. Sam Ellinger, like, come on, this team scrapped them too. At Atlanta, that's going to should be Steelers South there again, just like it was in Miami with a lot of Steelers fans. You won't convince me. I mean, Atlanta's playing mid. They're playing mid. You know what I mean? They got the Ravens at home. That'll be will always be a tough game. They could split with the Ravens. They're at Carolina. Panthers don't know who they are. Las Vegas Raiders make big coaching changes and all these sweeping things and get Devontae Adams, and they suck.
Is that home or away?
That's the Christmas Eve game for the Immaculate Reception anniversary at Acrisure Stadium.
Nice. Okay, cool. I feel way better playing the Raiders when we're at home than away.
Yeah, not at the Death Star, right? And then you play at Baltimore on New Year's Day, and then to be determined kickoff time hosting the Cleveland Browns at home. That game might not mean anything, but then again, it could. You don't know. This is where the season really starts right now. And it's not just for the Steelers, but for a lot of other teams that are still trying to sort it out and figure it out. You got a lot of teams that are all kind of middling here. I mean, you got Buffalo at 6-1. You got Philadelphia at 7-0. You got Minnesota at 6-1. They're the head of the class everywhere around the league. Everyone thought the AFC West was going to run away with everything. Las Vegas is 2-5. Denver is 3-5. They're hardly anything but a shoe-in for a playoff spot.
How about Justin Herbert, huh? While we're still on the topic of giving patience to quarterbacks with clearly a lot of talent, Herbert kind of stinks this year, but I still think he is going to be a good quarterback, you know?
Yeah, you're going to have that. And running backs, how many times are running backs going to have the sophomore slump? Donjie's dealing with the plate thing that was in his foot. Maybe they figure some of this out. Maybe they don't. Offensive line's still the 3-year process. I'm really looking at this year. A lot of people are like, just scrap it and throw it away. I guarantee you Mike Tomlin isn't thinking that. There's no way in hell he's thinking that. He's thinking, and a lot of people are like, well, he'll protect his 500, whatever. They have an opportunity now to beat
people
some
say
other
that like
bad
it's
teams.
A bad thing. They're like, he's going to try to win games.
yeah, because you want that top 10 pick so you could be. I think of like players like Justin Gilbert that the Browns took. And this isn't just a dump on the Browns, but I could do it with the Bengals too. What, John Ross or whatever? You take these guys, it doesn't matter where their position is. They might still be bad picks.
It isn't surefire by any means.
Yeah, the Steelers have had their share of them as well. So I'm not into the tank and get certain draft position or even look somewhere else for the quarterback position. It's going to be Kenny, and you're going to ride Kenny for probably this season and the next 2 to 3 at least. You even see the Giants are winning even in spite of Daniel Jones. I mentioned earlier, the 17 pass yards.
They're utilizing his strengths. He's an elite runner of the football, which is funny to say because he looks so dorky, but he's an elite runner of the football, and he's got a decent arm. So they're playing to his strengths. He just had his worst game this year, of course, because I added him on my fantasy team, but he's been good-ish this year.
I've been very, very, very trifling with the streaming of quarterbacks. I've gone from Russell Wilson to Matt Stafford to Geno Smith to Daniel Jones, now to Aaron Rodgers.
this year is so tough for quarterbacks, man. My best team, and I think it's the best team I ever drafted, right? I got Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelsey, Nick Chubb, like Brees Hall before he got hurt. This team, I'm still in first place in that league, but my Achilles heel was I had Aaron Rodgers, and the most he gets is 16 points. And then I picked up Carson Wentz, had to dump him off, picked up Trevor Lawrence, dumped him off, and now we're on Danny Dimes. So it's like quarterback is a problem everywhere this year.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's funny somebody it's a Colts fan account, and they tweeted out, this is pretty funny. Colts news and opinions here. And they said Colts are averaging 16.1 points per game. They scored over 20 points once in 8 games. How is that even possible in 2022? Frank Reich has to go. And it's just like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Hold my beer. But yeah, Tennessee, and everyone's going to talk it up, and Malik Willis gets a win, and it's like, yeah, Derrick Henry has run for over 200 yards in 4 straight games against the 1-win Houston Texans. It's like, put that game on the schedule. Oh, wait, there are some games like that on the schedule. So hold tight, folks. We'll have some more programming coming your way, hopefully later this week and into next week, and then we'll be back on the horn to preview next week after the bye week some of the games we were talking about, particularly the New Orleans Saints. We'll see TJ Watt probably get activated finally. We'll see if there's any other news or notes or any coaching changes or anything like that. A lot of people think, oh, well, the Steelers are stubborn, they wouldn't do something like this, but it's still early on Monday as we're doing this. I still think there is a possibility. The thing is, how much longer do you hold on to this? How much longer do you clutch your pearls here? Because I truly think one thing that was botched, it's not this ridiculous thing from like Mark Madden saying, well, Kenny Pickett's not the guy, and they shouldn't have played Kenny Pickett, and you're going to ruin Kenny Pickett. No, you got to play him. You got to get this guy some reps, some real reps. You just don't throw him out there, and then you stink next year. You want a chance to be able to win next year, you got to play him this year.
Yes.
Absolutely. But in that aspect, he should have started the Jets game, should have gotten all of those reps in practice heading up to that. That's one coaching move that I think should have happened. Don't can Matt Canada if you have 2 weeks to prepare for the Saints and you suck it up in 2 weeks at home against New Orleans. That's the wrong time too. That move needs to happen now so you have more time to implement the changes. It's going to be the same playbook.
Yeah.
But maybe you get a little bit of tweaks, a little bit of wrinkles in it. Things start to develop. These players do not believe in what they're being sold, and I can't throw all of the position coaches under the bus for this because they're underneath, they're looking above, and they're like, well, my hands are tied to whatever this is. What else can we do?
The dominant effect.
Yeah.
And I was kind of against, not even really against, but I tried to make a point as to why the Steelers may want to keep Canada till the end of the year on previous shows, talking about the offense isn't going to change that much, especially because when you think about it, they can't teach 22 guys or however many offensive backups there are a completely new scheme during an NFL season. If Canada gets fired, the game plan, the offense is still going to be largely the same. However, I am for getting rid of him now because I think they have a small window of opportunity where he has given them more than enough reason to get rid of him, Matt Canada.
Yes.
And you can kind of seamlessly transition to Sullivan, or whoever would take over play calling. Let him have like the same offense, but put his own spin on it so that you won't really confuse the players too much. They'll still know the offense, but with a different play caller and a different vibe, maybe things will click better. Maybe they'll feel heard and respected too, because, and I'm not trying to target like all the position coaches. I really do feel strongly about the Frisman Jackson take. I think he's done a terrible job with the receiver room. And I think that Canada, though, is the head of the dragon. Like, if you're going to kill the beast, you got to cut the head off. And I think the only way they can do that, because they're not firing Mike Tomlin, no matter how much some people want them to, the easiest answer on the wall is fire Matt Canada. You won't shake things up too bad with the offense, but you'll do enough where things will be different-ish, and the players will feel respected and heard, man, because Not a single player on that offense likes Matt Canada. I don't think so.
No, no, no. And I know it's a 2-win team, and there's people that are going to say, "Oh yeah, okay, well, 2 wins. That means Mike Tomlin would be should be out the door." These games could have been even worse with a different coach and the
100%.
things. They beat the Bucks with I don't even know what kind of secondary that they have, and I know the Bucks still don't look like an impressive football team, but still the same. And I don't think it hinders Kenny too much to move Mike Sullivan, the his quarterback's coach, up to be an offensive coordinator. It's still the same voice that's going to be in his ear. I think somebody pointed out to me the year that it was the former Bears coach. What was his name? I think he was the CFL guy. Was it Trestman?
Oh,
Mark Trestman?
no,
Trestman.
no. I know who you're talking about.
Got
Mark
Candace.
Trestman.
Yeah, Mark Trestman.
Is that what he said? My
Yeah,
bad.
no, that's okay. He got canned as the OC, and then what? They went to the Super Bowl and won it after all that. They've canned their coordinators more than once. They had Cam Cameron or whatever out there too. They had like 4 years in a row where they had different offensive coordinators, and I think that was a large problem with Joe Flacco and then that transition to Lamar Jackson and everything like that. But that eventually worked. They inserted Lamar mid-season, and then they ended up making the playoffs that year. They moved from Flacco right over to Lamar, and they changed the way their offense was. But they did have Greg Roman already in place, and they kind of had an idea, that blueprint of what they wanted to do. So it's a little bit
Call
different.
him Greg Run Man because he's like a run game goat.
Oh my goodness, him and Brian Daboll both. That's why you see the Danny Dimes thing and Saquon Barkley doing the same thing. Everywhere Brian Daboll has been, Brian Daboll was the running backs coach with Peyton Hillis, ended up on the Madden cover that year with the Cleveland Browns.
Brian Run Daboll.
Yeah, basically, and good for him, man. It's good to see him get a head coaching gig and see all of that work out for him. But we're up against it. Folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to head on over to manscaped.com and use promo code SteelCity for your 20% off your free shipping. My name's Joe. His name's Flash, and he's got the product right there in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hand. But anyway, that'll do for us because we got a lot more to say. Apologize for my raspy throat, man. It's this weather keeps changing back and forth, and it's just like everything was kicking back in. So now I'm trying to suck on some cough drops and not cough into the microphone and not mute the microphone when I am coughing and then coming back. So I appreciate your patience with that, as it sucks and I have no voice left, and we'll see. It wasn't all from yelling at a TV screen. I can tell you that much. I did not go to Philadelphia. I did not want to endear myself to the Eagles faithful, the Philly faithful that are there. So
Yeah, don't do that to yourself, man.
I didn't want to. I'll go some year when they stink and there might be more Steelers fans there, because I knew that wasn't going to be a pleasant experience. So
No, you have more strength in numbers, of course.
yeah, and again, I mean, look at the Green Bay fans that might have made that trip to Buffalo for that Sunday night game. Yeah, that's a tough sell too. I mean, it's
a long, cold drive home.
Yeah, it's not just the Steelers. So we'll see if they can turn the ship around. We'll talk about some other ways they might, and we'll cover whatever other news may come across the wire, including one last one I think that we should bring up, which is just more in the vein of the clickbait aspect. Josh Roundtree, yeah, thank you so much putting this out on 93.7 The Fan. Isn't the best of looks. I think you saw this. Multiple current Steelers players liked an Instagram photo by Javon Hargrave, formerly of the Steelers, of him second Kenny Pickett. And there isn't going to be, you got to understand, when you're one of these players like Javon Hargrave, how many photos do you have of yourself in this type of prime situation and having this type of game? And he's here.
It's a big deal. Hargrave played here. He knows a lot of those guys, especially Chooks and Deontay.
Yeah. And Chooks, Deontay, Arthur Moats, Marcus Allen. And he said they ain't believe, but God did. And he's given thanks to God and given praise to God here for having the ability and talent to do what he's able to do there. And people are all blowing this up and trying to make it like a poo-poo on the Steelers type thing.
Yeah, no, Hargrave left on good terms.
Get out of here.
Afford him because he's so good. Yeah, we didn't pick him out.
You already had two of the top 5 players in salary were Cameron Hayward and Stephon Tuitt. You're going to make a third, and the reason Hargrave was able to get that contract is because of the injury to Tuitt, I think, and not Hayward. It was one or the other, and I'm fuzzy on it, but he got a lot more playing time because he's a guy that's playing like 20-30% of the snaps as a traditional 3-4 nose tackle, and then a rotational, I want to say a 5 technique, but guy could play anywhere. You know what I mean? And they found him in the 3rd round. And then that's another whole other thing that snowballs into, well, Kevin Colbert and Tomlin in our draft and blah, blah, blah. Look, this was a high dollar free agent like Bud Dupree. You can't keep a ball. This isn't Pokemon. It doesn't work that way.
No, it's
Pokemon
good
has a
drafting
salary
is
cap.
what it is.
Yeah. So anyways, that'll do it for us, folks. Once again, my name's Joe. His name's Zach. Till next time, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.